All right, we just got through all the implementing the various CRUD operations for manipulating courses, right, from the user interface, right? We're able to create courses, retrieve course or read courses, update and delete. Now let's take a look at modules, right? And it's basically many of the same operations, right? So it's not going to be much different than what we did for the courses. Now, the difference here is going to be mainly that the modules exists within a course, right? So there is a context with from where modules exist. So if you are CRUDing modules, it's within the context of a particular course, right? So if you create a course, if you create a module, then it's a module within a course, right? If you do any operations, right, of retrieving all the modules, well, it's not all the modules, it's only the modules that are within a particular course, right? So that entails, some additional considerations on, how you design the RESTful APIs, right? The other thing that we need to consider is that the way it's implemented in the user interface is as I believe we use the Redux, right? So there's a state variables that need to be initialized, when you first load the courses. Currently, the reducers, I believe, they just read the array from the local JSON file, but we're going to get rid of that, right? So instead, it has to go fetch the modules for a particular course, right? And then initialize the Redux reducer, right, appropriately with those modules for those courses, right? So let's take a look at how the differences of implementation entail, right? So let's first focus on creating the routes for the modules, and we'll start with the simple one, right, of retrieving modules. But again, it's going to be modules within the context of a course, right? So on the server, right, let's create in Kanbas a new file of routes inside a modules, right? And so here's the implementation is that it's going to retrieve the database from the local file, right? And notice that the implementation is that same, because we're reading is get, perfect. It's got the prefix. And then notice that the resource is modules. That's what we are retrieving. We're retrieving the modules. But right, we need to establish the fact that these are modules for a course or within a course, right? And the convention, right, the RESTful convention is that you use the various names of the resources in the path, right, organized in such a way that they encode the dependency or belonging, right, or a many, one-to-many relationship, right? So one course has many modules, right? Or one module, modules are contained inside of courses. And the way you do that is you use this path, right, to capture that idea, right, of things inside of other things. Very similar to what you do in the file system, right? That is a hierarchical data structure that has a root, right? And then you use paths, right, and the names of directories, so that higher level directories that contain other directories are earlier in the path, right, and other files or directories that are contained in other directories are later in the path. So same thing here, right? Modules are inside of the course, right? It's because it's courses first, the ID of the course, right, and then the modules are contained within that particular course. That make sense? So what we're going to do is that we're going to parse the course ID from the parameters, and then we're going to look for all the modules for that particular course, right? And so we're going to filter out only the modules that belong to that particular course, and that's what we're going to respond, right? That particular module. Right? Then in the app.js, we're going to import the module routes. So import module routes, and here module routes app. Okay. All right. So now modules is available, right? So we should be able to access the URL through here. For instance, we can ask for modules inside of RS101, right? So we say courses, RS101, modules. And there it is. So these are the modules for that particular course. And how about, does this have modules? I don't remember. Oops. Modules. Yeah. So those two courses have modules. Some other courses don't have modules. So 103. Yeah. Okay. It has modules, but just the names of the modules, but it doesn't have lessons, for instance. Okay. Anyway, so we're going to be able to do this from the user interface. Right? So yeah, so we have that available. Let's now take a look at how the user interface would retrieve it. So first, we'll need to create a client, right, that can go fetch this data from the server endpoint we just created, right? So we'll do that in a clients under modules, right? So under modules here, we'll also create clients that is going to contain, right, again, the remote server, right? This is the local host 4000, whatnot, right? To reference the server running on our local machine. And then the courses API, right? This is the same one as before, right? So that we're going to use, right, to build the URL to retrieve the modules, right? So these are, the name also captures the fact that we are retrieving modules for a specific course. And we're taking as argument the ID of the course, right, that we use to build the URL to retrieve those modules. Okay. So now we have that, right? So let's take a look at the from the reducer, right? Reducer's point of view. Right now, it's loading the modules from the database file, right? We need to change that. We don't do that anymore, right? So in the reducer, the modules reducer, right? Notice that we have this database with the modules. We're not going to use it anymore, so we're going to comment that out, and now it's going to break, right? Because we don't have the modules anymore. We're going to initialize the modules to be empty, an empty array, and we are going to we're going to have a means by which we can populate those modules. We need to set it to something somehow. So what we're going to do is that in the front end, in the React.js component that loads the modules, we are going to go fetch the modules from the server. Once we have them, we're going to call this set modules in the reducer so that we can initialize the reducer with some state from the server. All right, so let's do that. So here we'll add set modules, and we're going to export the brand new setter right here in the functions, the reducers. Okay. Are we missing something? Let's see. What are we missing here? Modules. Errors. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, any. Yeah. Okay. So let me see. What did I do here? Create live modules. Modules never. Figure how to fix this. Modules. Let me take a look. Oh, as any. Okay, that's what I did. As any. And what else? Okay, all those modules need to be described as any. Right, yeah, yeah, yeah. Any, any. This is any. Anywhere else? This one too. There we go. Okay. All right, so we declared all these to be of any type. In reality, we would need to create an actual type definition, right? And then tell it that all modules will have IDs, names, courses, lessons, and things like that, right? All right, so we have that. Once we have that, we can now go back to the module screen, right? That is expecting to have the list of modules and render it, right? That's the place where we're going to use the client, right, to go fetch those modules for this particular course, right, and then set the modules in the reducer, right, so that it can add, initialize the state of the reducer, right, so that we can then share that data across the various screens. Right, so let's do that. So in the modules component here, right, we'll need the additional reducer function set module, set modules. We'll need to go fetch the modules, with the client. So let's load the client here. Right, and we'll also need here use effect, right? And then in the we'll implement the fetch modules so that it's when it loads, it will call the find modules for course, passing it the argument, the ID of the course, right? So that can be sent out to the server. And then the server can do the filtering, right? We'll pass in the course ID, and so the server will do the filtering, right, in the modules course, so that it will only return a subarray, right, of the modules for that particular course, right? And then on the client, that is going to be used for initializing the modules, right, in the state, right, so that we can then read and select that set of modules so that we can render it here in the user interface, right? So now that we have that, we should be able to go to rocket propulsion, and these are the modules for rocket propulsion, right? Right, and or aerodynamics, right, or aerospace. Okay, all right, so that works. The next operation is we want to be able to create modules for the current course that we're in, right? So we're going to post a new module. We'll probably just provide the name of the module to be added, right? And then we'll post it as a new, we'll post it in the body, right? We can post many fields, but I believe we're just going to send out the name of the module. That's all we have. Here we'll make sure to store the fact that this module is for that course, which we know, right? Because you're including that ID in the parameters, right? To know that this module is for that course, and we'll give it a unique identifier. And finally, we'll push it to the array of all modules, right? So on the server here, where we create the modules, right? There it is. Created a module. We're going to push that to the array. Right, so now in the user interface, we'll need in the client, we'll need a function that will post to a server and send the name of the new module, right, for a particular course, right? So let's go to the client, right, and do the create module, right? And we're going to do a post. We'll send the modules course ID, right? So that we'll know that these are creating the modules for that particular course, right? And we'll send in the module that will, I believe right now it only includes, right now module only includes the module name. That's all, right? So we're going to create a little object so we can send it over to the server, right? So yeah, so we only have the name of the module. Module. All right, yeah, see, we're going to build a little object for the module that's just going to have the name of the module, and that's it, right? So in the add module, right, we're going to create the module, right? So let's do the create module, right, which we're going to call when we click on add. So when we're here and we click on add module, we're going to edit it, right? And then we're going to send it over with the name of the module. And the create new module, and then it's going to come back to this module. It's going to dispatch it right into our add module, which is going to append the new module to the array of modules for that particular course, right? So yeah, so then we'll call create module when we click on add module. Oh, did we just do that? Yeah, okay. Oh, okay, so we are already doing that. We are doing that. So we're not going to do that, right? Because right now we're dispatching right away. Instead, we move that dispatch right here, right? So here, what we're going to do is we're going to call that function. We're going to call create module, which is first going to go out to the server. The server is going to create it remotely in the database, right? And then we're just going to pass it the new object into the reducer function, right? All right, so let's try it out. Let's see. We'll say, so intro to rocket propulsion, fuel, nozzle design. We'll do module. We'll say, reusable rockets is the way. Say add module, and there it is. Let's refresh. Refresh, we go fetch it again from the server just to make sure that it's there. There it is. So it's created permanently now in the database. All right. Yeah, so how about deleting a module? So right now we have this delete, right, that it's not permanent, right? So if I delete and I refresh, it's still there, right? So we want to make those changes permanent, right? So instead, we're going to delete from the server. So on the server, we can implement this new delete, right? So here, we'll say delete. Now, notice that all my other URLs, right, they prepended courses. See that? Prepended the courses and then added the course ID. But for this one, I'm not doing that. I'm not prepending. And the reason is that I don't need it, right? For all the other ones, for creating, right, for retrieving, it makes sense that you give me the ID of the course, right? Because I need to know where are you adding it, where are you, which ones are you retrieving. But for deleting, right, I don't need to know, who your parent is. I'm just going to remove you from the database and you're gone, right? So there's no need for providing the additional context, right, of what course are you in. I just need the ID of the module. And the idea of the module, I use it to filter and reconstruct the array of modules without that particular module, right? So on the user interface, right, we'll need a delete module in the client, and so we'll put it here. So the API is almost identical to the courses, but it's just modules, right? So there's my module API. And delete will be the module API and then the ID of the module that I want to remove, right? And the server is just going to respond with status 200. Says, yep, I was able to remove it. Again, if the ID of the module doesn't exist, we should respond, we should throw an exception or something or send an error back, right? And here we should, on the client, we should, again, throw an exception and handle that error. Now on the, in the module list, right? We already have delete module. Okay, very good. We don't need to add it again. We're going to handle remove module here, which is going to first send the delete command to the server, and if it's successful, right, we'll go ahead and let the reducer know that we need to remove it here as well, right? So that we can maintain synchronicity between the server removing data from the server and then us following, doing the same thing, right? To make sure that it's removed from both places, right? You want to update the user interface, right? To give feedback that their action actually happened. Now in the delete, in our current delete, implementation of removing here, delete, we don't want to do this, right? We want to call our implementation, which is going to dispatch the delete, right? So let's re-implement that. So in the delete, I'm going to call the remove module, right? So this is just going to be, a remove module like that. Okay. Which in turn is going to dispatch. Okay. But not before letting the server know that we're removing that, right? Okay, so let's see. The server restarted, that's why we have 3 again. And so now if I remove this, notice if I refresh, the change is permanent, right? If I add, so this is module 1, 2, 3, module 2, 3, 4. So if I refresh, they are permanent. I refresh, there they are. Remove, refresh. Right, so that's that. Okay, so it works. And then let's look at updating, right? So for put, we can implement that on the server. We can add the put right here. So put the module ID, right? We'll take the ID of the module, and then we're going to filter out. We're going to find the module. Where is it in the server? And then we're going to update that particular module, right? We're going to copy the old values, and then we're going to override it with whatever data you're going to send us from the user interface, right? And then we're going to optimistically just let you know that everything went okay, right? In the client, we'll need to add a update module in the client, right? So that is going to put that content, right? So in the client, right? We're going to send the put to the ID of the module that we're updating, and then we're going to send you the actual updates, right? And then the response is going to have its 200 saying, yeah, it was successful. So then in the user interface, right, I'm going to create a little save that is first going to tell the server to update that instance, and then it's going to tell the reducer to update it as well, right? So let's do that, and we'll have that save, and then on change, right, we're going to save, as we type or change something or press enter, we're going to make those updates. Okay. All right. So we're going to here, instead of doing the dispatch of updates, dispatch, here's the update edit module. Update dispatch. Okay, there it is. So enter. We're going to call save module, and this one too. Wait, update module. Wait a minute. What? This was dispatch. So on change. Okay, so the on change here, as I type, I'm going to change the local copy, right, in the reducer. But there's no need to send it over to the server, right? There's no point for every single keystroke to send to the server. Instead, we're going to do a save right here, module. When you press enter, right, then we will update the server and update locally, right? But so this is an example of using two different state variables, right? One for local updates that are not necessary that we notify the server at every single keystroke, right? As we make the changes locally, right? And then once we're done, right, we do a batch update, right, and send out to the server the final results, right, and finalize the operation. Right? So let's see if that works. So for instance, we can do an update here, and we say 1, 2, 3, and then when we do enter, right, presumably this is saved in the server. If we refresh, notice indeed the update is made permanent. Okay. All right. Yeah. So having practiced, right, working with reducers, working with modules that belong to courses, right, having implemented the RESTful APIs, examples of creating routes on the server, and then clients on the user interface, right? On your own, you're going to refactor your current implementation of the assignments in the assignments editor, right? So that now all that works with the server. That means you'll need to create routes on the server to be able to retrieve all the assignments for a course, be able to add an assignment, remove an assignment, right? Then navigate to an assignment, fetch that particular assignment so you can populate the assignment editor, right? And then be able to change the assignment and then save it to make the changes permanent on the server, right? So your assignments implementation that you've been working on your own, right? That needs to now be permanent, right, using the server. All right, and that assignment should give you practice, right? To if you're doing the quizzes project, right, you should be able to use that as a use case, and having practice to doing that in the assignment, right, to be able to now apply that in the quizzes. All right. Okay, so we've implemented the the server, the client talking to the server. We've integrated those. Now we need to deploy this, right, on the server, right, on an actual server, right. Right now, all this is running locally on my machine, so nobody can see this other than me, right. So to make this permanent, I need to push this to a repository, right. I need to publish it to a real server, right, either on render.com or Heroku or AWS or one of these services. And then I need to tie it with the Netlify client, right, user interface. So let's do that. So first we'll need to make sure that our code is in a repository, which I believe it is. So from the server, let's see, let me start the server. What branch? Okay, so it's not a repository, right? It doesn't exist in a repository. That's fine. We'll create a repository from scratch. Okay, so one of the more important things to do is to first create a ignore file, a git ignore file. And in particular, here we're going to list all the files or directories that we don't want to end up in the Git repository, right? And in our case, definitely we don't want the node underscore modules to end up in our Git repository. So add that in your git ignore, like that. Node underscore modules, like that. And then we're gonna do a git init. So it's initialized. It says that we only have 15 files. Notice that if I didn't have this node modules, notice how many files it would think that it needs to add to the repository. 540 files. You know, that is not our source code, right? Those are all a whole bunch of libraries that are inside of the node underscore modules that we don't want to include in the repository. We just want our source code, right? So node underscore modules. So ignore that. We don't want it in the repository. And then we can add this now. We can append this, and we can add it to a branch, right? So let's see what branch do we have. All right, so we're gonna create a branch. So git checkout -b. So this is assignment 5, and git status. So we have those files. We're going to add all those. I'm going to say first commit. Okay. So let's see. We'll commit. All right. So git status. Okay, I'm done. So now let's push it to a Git repository, which you should already know how to do, right? So let's go to GitHub, and we'll say new. We'll use the same name of the node here, like that. Copy that. So that's the name. Available. It's public. Creates it. And the only thing that we need to do here is that we already have the branch. I'm going to add this as a remote. Okay, and then we're going to push. But our branch is not called main. So our branch is called A5. So it's going to push it. And so if we refresh, we see that we only have branch A5. Okay. So yeah, the other thing, before we try to deploy this, we have to make sure, yeah, right there, process.env.port, perfect. Okay. So let's now push this to, we'll use render.com. So we'll say render.com. And I think am I logged in? I'm logged in. So I'm gonna new web service, and we'll give it a Git repository. Next, it'll probably, I've already given it permission to log in to my Git repository, but fetching all my repositories. And notice that it found this one. It says, oh, this one was like a minute ago. So we're gonna say, yeah, that's the one. So say, okay, well, what does it want to call it? Name, Oregon, blah, 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 A5, the branch not deploying, node. Ooh, do we have this? I don't think I have that. Let's see. In our package JSON, yeah, we need a start command. Right, so the start command here will be node app.js, right? That's how we start our server, right? And so we'll need to push that. So we'll say commit this, like this, add it start command, commit and push. So it's pushed. And so now here we say, okay, well, the command to start the command is npm start. Right, it'll run that start, which will do a node app.js. To build, it's I think it's npm build. Npm, is it npm build? Wait, let's see, npm build. No, okay, so npm run build. Or okay, no, I'm sorry, npm install. That's what it is. Yeah, npm install. Yeah. So there's a npm install. No, blah, 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 okay. I'm going to choose the free version. I don't have any environment variables. Later on, we might need environment variables. We can configure that later. We'll say create. So this is going to start off. Now to test it, so this is going to take a while. It's going to clone the repository. There it is. It's cloning it. It's going to do an npm install, right? And then it'll start running it with Node app.js. Oh, it's done. Do we have a? Do we have an app.js? Do you have a hello? Hello. Oh, it should have returned this. Oh, wait, is it? Wait a minute. Node, Kanbas, blah, blah, install, yada, 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 yada. Not found. Hello. No. Did it do an npm install? Okay, they did an npm install. Okay, it's still building. Okay, it's too early. It's still building. All right, let's give it a minute. So while that's happening, let's push to our React application, right? So in our React application here, we have, let's see, git branch. Okay, so we're on branch A5, right? And so we're going to add all this, right? So this is A5, add commit. I'm going to push to A5, so it's done. That's done. And so in Netlify, well, this is still building. Let's go to Netlify, and let's find that this one. I think it's this one. And yeah, we A1 site configuration. Did I not put this to deploy all of them? Environment, build and deploy. Build settings, repository, configure runtime, branches, A1. Oh, any deploy. Oh, deploy all branches, push to the repository. Oh, production branch, A1, configure all. Deploys. Oh, okay. Here's the one I was looking for. A5. Okay, it's deployed. It's deployed. We should be able to, now if I go there, it's going to try and talk to my server, right? It's going to try and connect to my localhost 4000, and that's an error, right? Because it can't connect to my localhost 4000. Let's see, let's see where it fails. So if we go to lab 5 and I inspect, right, you'll notice in the network, if I go to lab 5, see that? It's trying to go to lab 5, grabbing the to-dos, and it's trying to go to, the URL is based on an environment variable that doesn't exist, right? So the environment variable is undefined, and so it interprets that as if the server should be the one where we're running. That's the way it's interpreted, right? So there it is, it's undefined. So it's trying to use the same URL where we're in, but instead it should be talking to this server, to the render server, this one right here, which is still building, but it's this URL. So I'm going to copy that, and that's going to be the remote server environment variable on Netlify, right? So let's go to Netlify, and we're going to configure site configuration. We're going to say we're going to create an environment variable. There it is. I'm going to say create a new environment variable, and I think it's going to be remote server, I think it's called. And all scopes, same value for everybody, right? It's this one. So now it's going to try and talk to that server, right? Not the local one, right? So I'm going to create the variable, and we're going to have to restart the server, right? We're going to have to restart this. So I'm going to go to deploys and trigger a redeploy. Do I need publish, deploy, open options, retry, deploy, clear cache, and try the latest? Okay, so I'm going to try and cause a redeploy of the branch A5, with the idea that it will pick up that environment variable I just created, right? Excuse me. Okay, it's building A5. Let's see. And then we're done. We should be able to go to A5. Still going. How about this one? Is render done? Still building. What? Inferences will spin down. Yeah, one limitations of with this free render.com is that when it's been like 2 minutes that you haven't used the server, they're put to sleep, right? So as long as you're having communications with the server, everything's working. But if you stop using it, it'll put it to sleep. That means the next time around, right, that you start using the server, there'll be a lag that you need to wait until that server spins up again, right? And then you can talk to it, right? Which is fine, right? In particular, grading the assignments, the TAs know, right, that they need to wait, right, as they start grading. Your request will go out to the server. The server will be asleep. They have to wait until the server spawns up again, right, and then they can grade you appropriately. Let's see, is this done? Yeah, it's done. Open right. Okay, there it is. So let's look at it again. Inspect. Go to network. So go to lab 5. Okay, so let's see. Lab 5. Now it's still undefined. Still undefined. It's still undefined. Site configuration. Site configuration. The environment variables are there, right? Remote server. Is that the name? Is that the correct name? Let's see. That env local. Oh. React app remote server is the name. Edit. Options. Edit. Paste that. Set variable. We have to restart again. Deploys. Blah, blah. Clear cache and retry. I'm gonna retry with the latest branch commit. Let's try this. Starting up again. Is this done? Building. It's taking a while. It's free. Yeah, your free instance will spin down with an activity, which can delay requests by 50 seconds or more. The first time you hit it, right? And then once it spins up, right, it's instant. Let's see, still going on. Running build, blah, blah, blah. Oh, wow, it's... Wait, is this stuck in an error, in a loop? Node app, Kanbas, running. Node free, manual deploy, connect. settings. Are we on free? Build, branch, build command, npm install, yeah. Start, npm start, yeah. Auto deploy, yes. Custom domains, no. Logs, no logs. Yours. Not sure why it's not building. All right, I'll take a look at why that's not happening. Let's see if this worked. Let's refresh. Okay, lab 5. Okay, so let's do lab 5. Okay, see that? Now, lab 5, it's going out to the Kanbas node server app, right? As opposed to the local URL. That means that the environment variable is set correctly, right? That's not trying to, it's not undefined like before, right? It was showing undefined. To-dos, same thing, right? It's trying to go to Kanbas node server, right? In render.com, right? Lab 5 to-dos. So that's good, right? So from the user interface's point of view, everything's okay, right? Same thing if I go to Canvas, it's going to try and fetch those courses, but the server doesn't exist yet, right? The server is still working. Manual deploy, clear, restart service. Let's see if we can restart it. No logs. No logs. No, it's not running. Let's see in the assignment if I have any clues. Get in it. Commit, remote, deploy node server. We create a new web service, deploy a node server, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I give it to you also in Heroku. Create the environment variable React app, remote app. So I did it and confirm that it works. Okay, yeah. All right, I'll take a look at what's going on with the server and I'll let everybody know. All right, yeah. That's all I had for you today.